Honesty has a particular feeling before it arrives, not the dramatic, something terrible is coming quality of dread, something quieter than that. The specific, slightly charged quality of knowing that what is about to happen in a conversation is going to be different from what previous conversations in this situation have been. That the surface is about to be set aside, that whatever has been managed and maintained and carefully presented in the interactions leading up to this one is approaching its limit. You can feel that limit approaching, not always in explicit form, in the specific atmospheric quality of a dynamic that has been shifting, that has had a different weight to it recently. That has been producing the particular low grade awareness of something gathering that has not yet found its form. That form is a conversation, and the conversation is going to be honest. I want to begin with what honest conversation actually is, because honest is a word that tends to be used as a general positive without the specific content it actually contains. Honest conversation is not the same as comfortable conversation. Comfortable conversation stays within the territory of what both people have already agreed it is safe to say. It moves within known parameters. It produces the specific pleasant quality of an exchange that confirms what was already understood and that does not require either person to extend themselves into uncertain territory. Honest conversation is different. It goes into the territory that has not yet been officially acknowledged, that has been present in the dynamic without being named, that both people have been aware of in some form without either of them having brought it fully into the shared space where it can be engaged with directly. Honest conversation names what has been unnamed, and the naming changes things, not always in the direction either person would have chosen, always in the direction of accuracy, of the dynamic being what it actually is, rather than what the surface of previous interactions has been suggesting it is. That accuracy is valuable, even when it is uncomfortable. Let me describe what you bring to a conversation like this, because how you receive honesty is as significant as the honesty itself. You are someone who can hold difficult information, not perfectly, not without the specific human quality of an initial response that precedes the considered one, not without the particular involuntary quality of feeling what you feel before you have had the chance to organize the feeling into something more composed. But you hold it, the specific Virgo quality of someone who does not require their information to be comfortable in order to be receivable, who has developed through whatever combination of experience and temperament and deliberate self cultivation, the capacity to be in contact with something difficult without being destabilized by the contact. That capacity is not universal. Many people can only receive information that fits within what they were already prepared to hear, that confirms rather than revises. That does not require them to update an understanding they had organized themselves around. You can receive the revising kind, and the conversation that is approaching is that kind. And I want to speak to how to prepare, because the title names preparation, and preparation is worth its honest examination. Preparation for honest conversation is not about knowing what will be said. You cannot know what will be said. The specific content of what someone chooses to offer when they finally offer honestly is never fully predictable. It carries the particular individual quality of their own interior, their specific way of seeing things, their specific way of organizing what they have been experiencing, their specific language for what has been difficult to name. That content will be theirs. Preparation is about being in a state in which you can receive it fully. The specific, open, genuinely present quality of someone who is not already inside the management of their response before the thing being responded to has fully arrived. Who has enough room in their interior for what comes in to actually land before the organizing of what to do with it begins? That room is what preparation creates, not through elaborate planning, through the simple, specific quality of showing up to the conversation with your full attention rather than with the portion of your attention that is not managing something else. Presence is the preparation. Presence is the preparation. I want to give that one more specific dimension because I think the practical quality of it is worth naming. Presence before a significant conversation means arriving without a predetermined script. Most people, before a conversation they know will be important, spend time preparing their position, organizing what they want to say, anticipating what the other person will say, and preparing responses to those anticipated things, building in advance the architecture of how they want the conversation to go. That preparation produces a particular quality of listening. Listening that is partly waiting, that is tracking the other person's words for the places where the prepared responses fit. That is, in a subtle but real way, not fully receiving what is being said because some of its available resource is allocated to the management of what comes next. The alternative is harder. To arrive with genuine openness about what will be said and what it will require, to allow the conversation to go where it actually goes, rather than where the preparation anticipated. To be in genuine contact with what arrives, rather than in partial contact filtered through the prepared positions. That is difficult. It is also what allows honest conversation to be fully received. And a conversation that is only partly received produces only partial understanding. You are capable of the fuller reception. I want to speak to something about what honest conversation requires of you specifically, not in the receiving of it, in the response. Honest conversation, when it arrives, tends to invite honesty in return. Not automatically, not without the specific interior work of deciding that the invitation is one you want to accept. The honesty being offered in your direction is not a guarantee that reciprocal honesty will be easy or comfortable or without its own cost. But it creates a specific quality of opening, an opening that is not present in the ordinary managed exchanges that have preceded it, where the managed surface has been set aside and what is present is the actual interior of the person across from you. And the actual interior, once present in the shared space, tends to invite the actual interior of the person receiving it. That mutual, actual interior quality is what genuine conversation is. And it has a different quality from what passes between people who are managing the surface of their interaction. Whether you step into that opening, whether you bring your own honesty to meet the honesty being offered, is a choice that only you can make. But the opening will be there. Tell me in the comments if you have been sensing this approaching. whether the dynamic I am describing, the gathering weight of something that has not yet been said, matches what you have been experiencing. Whether you have been feeling the specific atmospheric quality of a conversation that is more honest than previous ones becoming imminent. I want to speak to what honest conversation produces, not in terms of outcomes. Outcomes are variable and depend on too many factors to speak to generally. In terms of what the honesty itself produces, regardless of where the conversation ends up going, it produces clarity. The specific, this is what is actually here quality of clarity that only arrives when the managed surface has been set aside, when what both people have been navigating around has finally been named, when the thing that was present in the subtext of every previous interaction is now in the text. That clarity changes the quality of everything that follows. Not always in the direction of resolution, sometimes in the direction of a more honest kind of complication, of a complexity that is at least real rather than the complexity of navigating around something that was not being acknowledged. Real complexity is navigable. The complexity of managing around something unacknowledged is not, because you cannot engage directly with something that has not been officially acknowledged to be present. Once it is acknowledged, you can engage with it. And engagement, genuine, direct, both people in contact with what is actually there, engagement is what produces the possibility of something changing. Let me speak to something about the courage honest conversation requires, because honest conversation is not easy for the person offering the honesty either. What is about to be offered in your direction will have cost something to arrive at the point of being offered. The specific, private, not always visible cost of someone who has been in the position of knowing something and not saying it, of managing an interior that contains something that the exterior of their interactions with you has not been reflecting, of the specific accumulating weight of the unsaid finally reaching the point where the not saying is more costly than the saying. That cost is real. And the offering of what has been held at that cost is not something to be received casually. It deserves the specific quality of attention that things offered with courage deserve. The full, genuinely present, nothing is being managed from a distance quality of someone who is in the conversation rather than observing it from a slight remove. That quality of attention is what you are capable of bringing. And it is what honest conversation, when it arrives, deserves from you. I want to say something about what you will bring to this conversation from the prior period. You have been thinking, not in the anxious, circular quality of someone who cannot move through a thing, in the specific, deepening quality of someone who processes what they experience and who has been processing this, who has been, through whatever the prior period has been, developing a fuller understanding of the situation than the surface of the interactions has reflected. That understanding is information you bring to the conversation, not as a weapon, as a resource, the specific, more complete than it was before quality of your understanding of what has been happening and what it has meant and what you actually need from whatever comes next. That resource brought to an honest conversation changes what the conversation can produce, because you are not walking into it empty. You are walking into it with everything the prior period has produced in you. And what the prior period has produced in you is more than the surface of things would suggest. As we close, I want to give you one image, a conversation, not dramatic in its setting, the ordinary quality of two people in whatever the space is where they are, sitting or standing, or in some other entirely unremarkable physical arrangement that does not announce the significance of what is about to happen in it. And then the surface being set aside, not violently, in the specific, slightly deliberate quality of someone who has decided that today is the day, that the weight of what has not been said has reached the point where the saying is simply what comes next. And you receiving it with the full, present, nothing is being managed quality of someone who is genuinely in the moment of receiving something that matters, who has not pre-organized their response, who has allowed the preparation to be what preparation actually is, not planning, but presence. And the conversation that follows, more real than what preceded it, more honest, more in contact with what is actually there. That is what honest conversation produces. And you, Virgo, are someone who can be in it fully. That capacity is not nothing. It is the thing that makes honest conversation worth having. And it is the thing that makes what comes after an honest conversation different from what came before it. Because honest conversation, when it is genuinely received rather than managed, produces something that cannot be undone. A shared understanding of what is actually there. That understanding the specific, both people now know quality of something that was previously only known on one side changes the foundation of everything that follows. Not by resolving the thing, by making it available to be engaged with directly rather than navigated around indefinitely. You cannot work directly with something that has not been officially acknowledged to exist. Once it has been acknowledged, you can. And working directly with what is real, even when what is real is complicated, is always preferable to the specific, exhausting quality of indefinitely navigating around it. That is what is approaching, not comfort necessarily, reality. And reality, when it finally arrives in full, tends to produce more than the managed version ever could. You are ready for it, Virgo. More ready than you know.